Good evening, everybody. Welcome to League of Extraordinary Inventors. I'm your host, Mike from Faraday Research. It is Friday night, Free Energy Fridays. It's May 30th, 2025. It's the last weekend of May. And we're going to get right into it. I got a lot of stuff I want to share tonight. We also got Philip on with me tonight. So far, I guess Lulu's maybe MIA. Missing in action. I don't know where she is. She's usually here, but
she gets
abducted or yeah. So it happens. Some people are fashionably late, like Bernie is, and hopefully he'll show up too at some point. But I got a lot of stuff I want to talk about, so I'm going to jibber jabber because usually I like to stay on the sideline when I do a show and let everybody else talk about what they're working on, and I'm just kind of like the ringmaster here. So I add my 2 cents when I see fit. But Philip, I know you had a kind of a crazy week at work. Maybe just kind of go over what you were on to last week with the simulator, and we'll kind of go from there.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. I just want to start first by saying, hey, Bernie is here. I just want to start by saying that last week I said that DARPA plagiarized my energy teleportation thing, but that's I sorted out the dates actually, and DARPA came out with the idea before I presented it at National Harbor.
Right.
So they did not plagiarize what I said, so I apologize for that. Just want to clarify that here.
Probably, you know what? There's so many black programs out there. You know, they probably been working on this stuff for years and years and years. So, you know what? I wouldn't really lose sleep over it, so to speak, and just kind of do your own thing. And hopefully, you know, those contacts might actually work out for you down the road. I know that peer reviews and all this kind of stuff. I think a lot of it's just like almost like trying to put a bump in the road for you, you know, make things more difficult, you know.
I'm sure the peer review stuff is gonna work because we're in touch with somebody who owns a journal we know already. It's all about connections for peer review stuff, and as soon as it's accepted and published, then that's only then I'll be financed by the U.S. Navy. Then maybe I can, like I was saying before the show, let's see if I can hire Canadians.
Yeah, really. Eh? We gotta hire those pesky Canadians.
Yeah.
You know what? Some of the best engineers were coming out of Canada, like back in the early 1940s. You know, Avro Aero that was making the Avro Interceptor bomber fighter. That thing was 50. That thing was 50 years ahead of its time.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So the U.S. didn't like that too much, that we had this fighter bomber. Basically, it would smoke everything that was out there. So after that program got canceled by, at that time, it was Diefenbaker was our prime minister at that time. A liberal again. Go figure. Liberal. You know how I feel about liberals. So that project was canceled. And a lot of the aerospace engineers from there eventually migrated to the States and ended up either at Northrop Grumman or Lockheed, all these big aerospace companies in the US. Because that the program was kiboshed by the government. It's like they didn't really have a choice at that point. It was like, they got to feed their families, they got to work, right? So,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. It's typical that's the problem with Canada is administration overrules scientific merit. You
yeah, it's totally stupid. Like Canada's shooting itself in the foot so
I
badly.
know
There's so much talent here in
they think
Canada.
they're smart, but all they do all day long is they sleep. The government worker they sleep all day long, and then they think they're power tripping by canceling scientific programs or something like that. And um, I'm gonna. I spent like 5 years trying to convince the National Research Centre of Canada to finance my anti-gravity project. They were ignoring my emails for the last 4 years,
Yeah,
and now at the last minute, somebody finally, because I got angry, and by email I got angry really, and somebody started replying, and but they said, oh, you gotta go to these laboratories, and it's like you said I could go to University of Sherbrooke before, and now I cannot. See, it's really like it's like
bureaucracy going on there.
a jelly bureaucracy. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
They change their minds all the time, and they change.
yeah. They never commit to anything. That's the problem. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, false promises and they don't commit.
yeah, exactly.
So the same thing with my battery tech. We were trying to get a grant through the government. It's all kibosh now. It's all screwed. So it's like,
Yeah,
what do we do after this? It's like, do I go to another country with this tech, or what the heck do I do here, right?
yeah, and they claim they have the ITAR regulations. If you have technology, you want to export technology and things like that, but
Yeah,
who cares about ITAR? I mean, they didn't help us. Like, they didn't finance anything we did. Do you seriously think I'm gonna respect their stupid standards?
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Anyway,
Yeah,
sorry
there's
for the rant.
yeah, no, keep ranting. That's okay.
Nah,
No, there's one thing I kind of stumbled on that John Hutchison was working on years ago. This back late '70s, early '80s time frame. He used to go and um, he lived out in Alberta at the time, and he got access to go on to I think it was the HMCS Saskatchewan. It's a battleship that we had, and he was going through some of the radar stuff, and he found these interesting plates that were like self-resonating plates. And it turned out, from what I understand, if it's the same plates he was talking about, were the same plates that what's his name? Uh, oh God, I can't believe I forgot his name. Not Gerard Morin, the other guy, Don Smith,
yeah,
got access to these plates. They're used for sonar and um, countermeasures. And these
yeah,
plates, they're like 12 by 12 plates, but at that time they're about $3,000 each.
yeah,
So he started looking through and he found these diodes. And these diodes apparently are a solid state energy device that's self powering. So when you put a meter up to these diodes, you're getting a constant voltage going through the diode. And meanwhile, it's not hooked up to anything, it's putting out a quarter of a volt. So he managed to get a hold of these diodes and started experimenting and trying to figure out what was in it. And guess what? It had barium in it, barium titanate. It had gallium.
oh
It
yeah,
What else did it have in it? Um, Iron oxide and a couple other elements. But anyways, these diodes were self-powered. They were tiny. They were only about yay big, about an inch long. Oh, and they also had germanium in it.
Oh
So
yeah.
it was a mixture of those three or four elements that made up these diodes, and they were completely self-powered. So there'd be electronics built on battleships, and they didn't actually require a power source to run it. They were self-running.
Okay.
So these ideas, John Hutchison started putting together, and that's when he started working on his crystal battery cells. So I'm going to look into that a little further. It kind of ties in with the power cells that I'm working on. I just happen to have some germanium diodes.
Oh,
So,
cool.
yeah,
Nice.
they're small though. They're really small. But
Okay.
I have a lot of elements in my disposal right now that I could start experimenting, putting it on the anode and cathode side of that diode. If I can get that diode working to create basically a bridge between the two elements, I might have a self-sustaining power source that's you don't have to put any energy into it; it just produces power using a germanium diode. So I'm going to look into it. There's something intriguing there that I like to explore a little bit more.
Interesting. Yeah. Talking about new materials, did you know that the company Tesla, just to distinguish with Nikola Tesla,
Yeah,
the company Tesla, they're gonna use aluminum, sodium batteries,
yeah,
something like that.
yeah, yeah. That's what the Chinese are working at. CATL, CATL. They're the largest battery manufacturer in China right now.
Oh
And
yeah.
they have these sodium batteries on the market right now. They're using, I believe, in two electric cars out there, and they can get 80% charge in 30 minutes.
Nice.
Yeah, they can get an 80% charge with a 30-minute charge on it.
Thank you.
So, yeah, looking pretty interesting as far as, and also too, a lot of the dangerous elements don't exist in this battery.
Yeah. So lithium is all of there. So
Lithium's gone. There's no cobalt in it. There might be
yeah.
manganese dioxide. There might be that in there, but that's more of a for like a solid state. Um, but yeah, apparently these batteries are pretty impressive. What they can
Yeah,
do.
that's cool. Now I'm considering buying an electric vehicle, but as long as it
You
can
know what?
survive our winters.
You know what? I'd be all for it, but the problem is, we have to get into a battery that's completely safe for the environment because the shit they're pumping out right now with the lithium stuff is just it's toxic. Lithium is toxic, and
Yeah,
you have to
it
get
pollutes
into
it
this.
more, pollutes more to
Yeah,
create.
yeah, and the cobalt too, and you got all this open pit minings. We have to get into a battery system. Say a battery that never runs out of power. Who's working on that?
Yeah,
Right? You know, uh, that's where electric cars down the road will be totally feasible. Also, cost, right? An average decent EV in Canada is going to run you 60,000, right? And
yeah,
that's in Canadian dollars. So until that price can get 30,000 and below in Canadian dollars, then it's more realistic for the average person to just go out and buy an EV. But charge infrastructure to charge the vehicles, we haven't got that in place yet. We're just starting. You know,
yeah,
gas stations are everywhere. They're every half mile, and you got a gas station. Until we get to that point with charge stations, and also too, what's going to make all this power? Who's gonna produce all this electricity to keep all these EV cars running? Not only that, you could look on a wider spectrum. You know, you got AI coming up. You know how much data, like data storage systems, are apparently, excuse me, um, there's a data center in, I believe it's Texas, if I'm not mistaken. It consumes more power than the country of Switzerland in 1 year.
Oh yeah.
It consumes that amount of power to power these AI data centers. So you got the AI data centers that are a huge hog on electricity, and then you expect to power EVs. I am sorry, this is not going to work. And this goes back to my personal belief, and I've been talking about this for a long time. The only way we're going to make this new world work the way they want it, you have to decentralize power.
Yeah.
You have to.
Yeah.
There's no way. The governments want to put all the power into running these massive data centers, right? You know how many nuclear? You need 30 nuclear power plants just to run one data center. That's how much power these things suck up. They're just hogs on power,
Yeah. That's
right?
true. Yeah.
So, like China is spitting out like 130 nuclear power plants every year. That's a huge amount of infrastructure. So it will come to a point where we'll be advancing so quick and so fast that we will not have the power requirements to do this. We won't. We just can't do it. The power that we need is just too enormous. So if every house in the world was decentralized, self-powered, then guess what? Then they take all their stupid nuclear power plants and they could run all their, AI data centers, as much as they want. But it's impossible. But they want to pull off, impossible. They have to come up with some crazy power source to power all this stuff. It won't happen.
Yeah, but the AI centers, they can be optimized, and the power consumption can be minimized if they change the
Unless,
stupid Python language into C++.
but yeah, but the other thing too is, yeah, probably the architecture and the way AI works, but it's also the chip technology, right? So there is a company in China that came up with a non-silicone based chip. They're using uh, uh, what's it called? Not barium. It's on the tip of my tongue. Um, I even have a piece of it in a rock form. Um, Shoot, I got brain fart again. um, so basically, they've replaced the silicone with this other element. I'll probably remember in about 5 minutes. And
Yeah,
they're also using graphene as a substrate. So uh, now you got a microchip that takes almost next to no power to run because now they're in such a nano scale with this new materials, and
yeah,
you don't even need silicone. Silicone's not in this chip,
yeah,
so that's a big breakthrough, huge breakthrough.
cool.
Non silicone based chip,
Yeah,
and it's going to require like very very tiny amounts of power. So that means tiny amounts of heat. Um, you know, it's going to be a very very efficient AI system when this comes out.
yeah.
But the problem is China's at the forefront. The Americans are nowhere near this what this chip is.
Oh yeah.
So yeah,
It's funny, China. There's a lot of spies in the industry in the U.S. So they just it's like what's yours is mine and what's mine is mine. They don't want to share what they're doing, but it's
right.
okay if they plagiarize what we did.
Oh, they've been doing that for a long, long time. That's nothing
Yeah,
new.
yeah. So
So
yeah.
yeah, I
Um,
think decentralized is the only way to go. Is the only way to go. Lulu,
hey
Hey,
Lulu.
sorry I'm
we're
late. I was dealing with an emergency, but yeah, all is well. How are you? How are you
everything.
guys? How are you, gentlemen?
We're good.
Very good.
Yeah, been a busy week for all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just gonna, since you're here, Lulu, I'm gonna just scoot out for a quick smoke and I'll be right back. You can chat it up with Mr. Phillip.
Hi, Philip. How are you?
Hey, good yourself.
How's your project going? Like your paperwork?
Um, I'm still waiting for the peer review to be accepted.
So,
So,
so walk. Could
sorry.
you walk me? Could you walk me through the peer review? Like, what do you have to do on your end for that peer review to happen?
I don't have to do anything anymore, but just wait. I already hired a PhD. It's Stuart Marongwe um, from somewhere in Africa. I hired him last year, and we have a joint paper that we're getting peer reviewed, but it was rejected a few times before. It takes the time, you submit it, you have to wait like 2 months, and after 2 months, you get an answer. Either they say why or they don't say anything. In our case, they didn't say anything why they rejected it. So you had to find another place to submit it to, wait another 2 months, and get their feedback. So that's where we're at right now. We
So what?
submitted it, and we're waiting for the feedback of the
So my
peer
question to
review.
you, what my question to you is, why don't you send it to many PhDs, not one and then wait, and then one and wait? Why don't you
No,
interview
we can't do that. We
Huh?
cannot do that. We cannot submit it in parallel.
Oh, you cannot. Okay.
No, it needs to be done in a series, like one at a time.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, that's their standards
But what's the purpose for that?
because they don't want the paper to be published in multiple journals.
Okay, so it's about like controlling the invention or control, like controlling the
Yeah,
who has it at that moment.
yeah, it's about controlling who
Okay.
publishes it first.
Okay.
So
And does it
uh,
matter? Does it matter what country you use for peer review? Like, does it have to be to a particular country, or could it be just anywhere on the planet, as long as it's a PhD individual that's peer reviewing it?
no, it can be anywhere on the planet, but in my case, I'm not. I'm not I'm not a PhD, so I don't know if it causes a problem, or I don't know if I'm. I don't know if they rejected it the first time because they just don't like computer scientists being part of the astrophysics community or something like that. It's very discriminatory.
Do they
They,
do they send you any formal letter stating why they're refusing it, like an explanation of, or do they just leave you lingering, like
no,
yeah.
they just say, "Ah, we rejected it," and they don't say why. They don't
Is
say
there
anything.
is there somebody that you could ask, like, could you give me why, so we can fix the problems that are causing this to be rejected? There has
No,
to be a reason.
you'll get blacklisted if you ask too many questions.
But I
You're
think
really
it's a lot.
walking on eggs.
But Phil, I think it's a really logical thing when you get, like, when somebody sends you a rejection, or they tell you you're rejected. They have to tell you what mistakes you need to fix in order for them to approve it. So for them to get it approved. Like, okay, you resubmit it next time, and what if, like you just said, that you're a computer scientist, and so you could keep on submitting it for the rest of your life and get rejected just because you're not a PhD holder, you're a computer scientist, and they're not ever going to tell you. That's not right. There's something.
I know. That's um, they can tell you why that you rejected, but they can also not tell you why, you know. But if they don't tell you why, it's kind of it's a politics thing. It depends. It depends. It
Okay.
depends if you're really
How,
a
how many
PhD
times?
or
How many times have you submitted this and it got rejected?
got rejected one time.
One time. So now we're
Yes.
waiting. You're waiting for the second one.
Yeah.
Okay. If it gets rejected for the second time, hopefully not. Hopefully not. But if it does, then don't you think you need to actually call them up, talk to somebody, say, okay, this is the second time this has been rejected. May I know why?
Yeah, I'm gonna ask. I don't have a direct contact with the owner of the referees, but I can ask the Dr. Marongwe to try to trace the reason why I got rejected. We just lost you, Lulu. Um, Lulu, you're there? All right. Well, um, I'm gonna talk about the. I can't share screen because Mike is not there. Yeah, we lost Lulu. I'm gonna try to share screen, see if it works. Entire screen. Nah, I can't share the screen. I need to wait for Mike to get my screen shared. Okay, so yeah, the Phil show. So yeah, the other thing this week, what happened is I did debate again with Jack Sarfati very quickly. It was a very short debate, and I really put the nail in the coffin with this time for a second time actually. Yep. Okay, there you go.
I'm back. Sorry.
Yeah.
Nature called.
Nature. Yeah. Yeah, we lost Lulu actually.
Oh, we lost Lulu.
Yeah, her connection got broken or something like that.
Okay, she's back. Lulu's back.
Yeah, no, I lost connection, but I was in backstage, so I couldn't get on.
Yeah. So yeah, there's two things I want to share. Well, first the simulator. I'm gonna say that quickly, very quickly. The simulator. I didn't have time this week to study the maths of that simulator right here, but I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna integrate that into my simulator and see where the differences are, what mathematics they're using, and all that. So next week I should have an answer for that. And yeah, other than that, it's yeah, like I was saying, I did debate again with Jack Sarfati this week. I put the nail in the coffin for good this time. He's gonna stop replying and calling everybody an idiot. Yeah, and I said actually it turns out Michael Boyd.
Oh yeah, yeah. I heard something about Michael Boyd lately.
Yeah.
Somebody was slamming him.
Yeah, Jack Sarfati was slamming Michael Boyd, but
Was
Michael
it?
Boyd is actually he figured the Casimir effect at the nanoscale, but the Casimir effect at the nanoscale is the gravito-electromagnetic effect that I did at the macro scale, already did at the macro scale. So we have similar experiments, but just at different scales.
Yeah.
And
If you're dealing with the Casimir effect, that's probably the closest thing you would get to quote unquote 0 point energy. Now, if you're working with crystals and the stuff that I'm working with, that's what I'm trying to get into. That's the realm I'm trying to get into with those power cells. So I was looking at Hutchison's old videos this week, and finding about these diodes that they were on old Navy battleships. They're extremely rare, very hard to find. But if I could replicate what those diodes were, that might create a junction to pulling energy out from basically nothing. Either
yeah,
this Casimir
but
effect or those type of effects. Hey,
yeah,
Jarvis.
Yeah, the
like I was
diode
saying,
is almost like with thermodynamics when it comes to Maxwell's demon. When it comes to heat, like this little guy like opening the trap whenever a highly kinetic gas comes through and like lets it
Yeah.
go over here.
Yeah.
That's why thermodynamics doesn't matter here. Electrodynamics is more important. You can do it with diodes,
Yeah.
especially like a low drop, like 0.7%, usually 0.6% on a diode. But I think Mike is onto something to where it's just a trap, a one-way valve.
Right. That's exactly what I'm doing. So what I'm doing with my power cells is very, very close to what this diode technology was that they were using back in, the 1920s, 1930s. These diodes were out there. They were being used in a lot of sonar and radar countermeasure devices. So,
and germanium's interesting. Do you think you can get below the like 0.3, 0.4 of germanium, or
if you have another element in there to give it a little push, that will counteract that resistance. So if you were to say put like magnesium with some kind of catalyst on the one end, that will counteract that resistance in that junction.
Right. Yeah.
And
like the Edison battery kind of, right?
Yeah, to a point. Yeah, the Edison battery is, obviously it was a galvanic battery, right?
Yeah, but it's interesting because our batteries are acid and his was alkaline.
Right.
And it wouldn't corrode it as much, but you had to, temporarily refill the sodium hydroxide and stuff,
Right. So basically my power cell technology is working similar principle. It's like semi-solid state / alkaline, right? So the sacrificial
alkaline is the new alchemy. No, it's actually old alchemy.
It's old alchemy that was lost, and now we're just starting to realize what we've missed.
Alkaline's cool, man. Yes.
Yeah. So if you keep it above 7 in alkaline, you're good. If it goes below 7 and 6, then you're starting to get into a galvanic. So the pH is getting too high. That's the key. If you find that sweet spot, your sacrificial cathode doesn't deteriorate. It might deteriorate a little bit, but at an extremely low rate.
And then you get these alloys that act like gold, because we all know that gold is a good conductor that doesn't corrode with batteries or diodes. Gold would be an amazing diode material, but who just has gold to make a diode, but there's alloys that you can make that mimic the properties of gold and noble metals like platinum and stuff, even those could be explored.
Yeah. It boils down to material science until we really have a solid grasp of material science and how to counteract, say, like corrosion properties, but still get energy release, getting hydrogen release from that reaction. Then you're on to something. And I think the alkaline, what you're working on, Jarvis, and what I'm working on, I think we're in the right direction. Yeah, we're doing it.
I think if our powers combine,
exactly.
like Captain Planet, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, but honestly, like I honestly think that if what you're working on, and I have some extensive knowledge in battery production and stuff like that too, with what I'm working on, we really could have like some really awesome stuff. We just got to work together. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's the materials what we're using now. Those diodes had barium titanate, germanium, gallium, and I believe it was the iron oxide. Hutchison was saying, and it was inside this diode.
Mm-hmm.
And when he put a meter up to the diode, and it's not attached to anything, it's just sitting on the friggin' table, and he put the meter up to it, and it was producing 0.25 volts.
Well, can I say something? I think Tesla actually had the first diode whenever he was doing the solar experiments, and it was hidden. The panel he had is selenium, and selenium, you know about selenium, right?
Yep.
Yes, it's photoelectric.
Right.
Just like if you were to charge aluminum negatively and let UV light hits it, the photoelectric effect will discharge it.
Yeah.
So he was using selenium, which is even better than aluminum, but it acted as a one-way valve because as it's coming literally out of the earth and the sun is evaporating these charges off, it stays and you get a current down to the earth to do work.
There's polarization taking
effect. But it's like a diode though.
Right.
But you're using the sun as the one way on that.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
Even solar cells. Yeah. Even solar. You know what I'm saying though. But selenium is really cool to me.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look into selenium.
It's named after the moon.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah.
But like I was saying last week, if you wanna, you don't need 0 point energy. You can do the opposite. Create a void, and the energy differential will create a force, and you can have an electric force or gravitational force that's going to create energy for you.
Yeah.
So you can do the opposite of the 0 point energy concept.
When you're talking about Maxwell's, are you talking about the entropy differential? When you're talking about Maxwell's demon, you're talking about the entropy.
Yes. Well, it's the idea is that it's basically a diode when it comes to electronics. It's something that is a one-way valve. It takes no energy to separate a positive or negative charge. But when it comes to Maxwell's demon, it's just separating temperature. But temperature is inferior to electrodynamics.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, these are a lot of stuff that a lot of electrical engineering's completely lost touch with.
And I've got a bachelor's. I can agree. Yes.
No, it's true. You've seen it. Like I did mechanical engineering for a year myself, and then it just it wasn't working for me. So it's like So Nathan, how you feeling?
You did the all-you-can-eat contest with wings.
I just heard a squeal, like his ears are like.
Yeah, I think your mic is. Oh, okay. I can't hear you at all. By the way, Nathan. No.
That image he showed.
There you go. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Yeah. It wasn't all you can eat. I would have won. It was hot sauce, and you got to see me pull out my dentures and burn my mouth off, which was hilarious, by the way.
That was so good.
That was pitiful.
The things I do for the channel, huh?
Oh my god. Yeah, like enduring like 50 lashes.
Dude, it wouldn't go away. It was on my lips, and it wouldn't go away, and it was under my tongue, and I'm like, oh my god, dude, it's gotta stop. It was like 10 minutes.
What these guys did tonight was like medieval.
Once it goes under your tongue or hits that part of the top of your mouth, it's over. You know what I mean? Like when it hits this little top of your mouth that goes to your nose.
Oh yeah, and then it's
like, dude, there's nothing you can do. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I blew my nose like halfway through, so I thought it was gonna come out.
Your sinuses are gonna be clear, man.
Yeah. Dude, that was
Everything's been
something else.
destroyed.
That was fun though.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we were talking about that diode. Yeah. So Jarvis is exactly right. What you're trying to achieve is a one-way valve, and with like next to no resistance in that valve. So even if you have a standing potential on one side, it's going to move across. It's going to go across, and that's where you get the quantum tunneling effect, right? There's connections. I think there's definitely connections with quantum tunneling and, zero resistance diode that Hutchison was working on. That's why he went into the crystal cells. That's the whole reason why you started with the crystal cell, is these World War II diodes that they had on battleships. So
What
at
about
least I,
that Josephson junction? It that you can tunneling can occur with that. It's called a
Sure.
squid.
Yep.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all related, all very similar stuff. So we
Yeah.
got to work on.
Like he was saying earlier, though, with Phil, when it comes to that, it's a really close spacing, almost like the Kashmir effect, like he was saying.
Right. Yeah,
you got to have
very
a
close spacing.
really close for that tunneling to happen.
And yeah, what I in my research, what I've found out, the closer the anode and cathode are together, the higher the current.
Yep.
Okay, lower voltage though. But as soon as you move the anode and cathode away from each other, you're going to lose a bit of the current, but you're going to gain on voltage. So it's a matter of finding that sweet spot. And that's been a real huge thing with my power cell technology.
Have you seen anything by Honey Davis, Mike?
I've heard of the name Honey Davis. I know that name. But I can't think of it right now.
He actually put 2 zinc plates. He made an electret, like a crude electret, and then dunked it into an electrolyte and was able to pull current off of it. Because as the positive and negative potential were there, it would go around the circuit and then hit the negative, but was short through the bottom and then come back. So he had a perpetual current using electric.
You know what? I think that's 100% possible. Yeah, we got to do Jarvis. I got to talk to you more offline.
I know, bro. I've been wanting to talk to you.
Here, I'm going to send you my email here. I'm just going to put it in the private chat.
Okay.
And then I definitely want to talk to you because you seem to be more into the material science like I am.
Yeah.
So Nathan, what have you been working on this week? I noticed you haven't done much podcasting. Are you doing more experiments on the side?
Yeah, well, what I've been doing is I've been building coils for people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it takes a little time, as you know. So I built out 2 Tesla coils that are going to the winner of the contest. Those go out. Did a couple personal coils for people. Like when the word gets out that you can kind of hit resonance whenever they want it in a coil, they kind of ask you to do it. So I've been doing a couple of those, and then I've been doing some experiments, man. I'm trying to get my camera work down to be a lot better.
Yeah.
So it's not just a couple minute shot of a video. I want to do a full video. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, and it takes time to upload too. Jarvis, in the private chat, I put my email there.
Thank you, bros. But I tried to click on it, and I'll get to you later. Though I'll do like a text to test it.
Yeah. So building. I wanted to show the work I've been working on. I've been working on these UPS power systems because I think the next big thing that's going to, we already got hit by what in 2021. I think the next crisis is going to be energy. I really think they're going to start attacking the grid. There's going to be a lot more blackouts Also, lately there's been a lot of solar flares. Yeah. So,
What's up, Joe?
Hey, everybody.
I mean, when you realize that if the power goes out, 90% of a population is vulnerable. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a pretty hard hit. And not being able to know if it is a solar flare, and like China literally calls their hacking group like what? You know what I mean? So we've had the director of national security step down because they basically admitted we can't prevent a cyber attack. You got groups like Bilderberg saying, look, the next attack's going to be cyber. Like, so we're vulnerable, you know, and that's why I think it is pressing time to go ahead and disclose what we can.
Yeah.
To try to help people, because if that does happen, there's not going to be anybody but people like us that can help our neighbors. And you don't want to fight your neighbors. You want to work together. Like one of the best things I think is actually a worm getter. I know it sounds weird, man, but this little stick that it's got rivets in it. You go, and when you do that, like it tricks the worms to thinking that there's a burrowing creature going into the ground.
Really?
And the worms come up to the surface. But once you get worms, you can get fish, you can get bird, you know, and then you can work your way up. And instead of hunting, you should agriculture, try to keep them alive as long as possible, mate them. You know what I mean? It's not a kill mentality that we need. We need to work together. We need to understand how to get through these times if they were to happen.
Yeah. Like I know Gerald's been working on the electroculture and stuff like that. I'm a big supporter of that kind of stuff for sure.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah. I'm just going to show the video I did today at my locker, my power system. Just bear with me here for a second. Hey everybody, welcome back to Faraday Research. It is Friday morning. Happy Free Energy Friday. We have our live show tonight. You can tune into the show at Faraday Research. Just click on the live tab and we'll be going to live to air at 10 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific. And so I'm in the locker today. I'm doing work. I'm building the power unit for the locker. And as you can see, I got my friend's power unit running. I'm running a fan right now because it's getting pretty hot out. So you know what? I figure I got to drain these batteries down so I can do some charge testing with it. So I got this fan. It's going full blast. And I'm just going to let it run pretty much all day. I have to wear these batteries down. And then I'm going to hook up the solar panel to it. I got the 400 watt solar panel. So I'm going to do some charge testing next week. But anyways, so far so good. Everything's running great. Power cables are cold. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, bottom right hand corner, also give me a thumbs up at the end of the video. So as you can see, I've joined the two batteries together. I'm using 1 gauge power cable. So they're all crimped. They're all shrink wrapped and everything. Very professional. Rock solid. This thing will never fail. So they got the BMS inside. So if they were to overheat or whatever, these things will automatically shut down with the BMS inside. They'll shut them off in 10 minutes. So I got that on the go. My saw is working great. I've had to use the saw. As you can see, I got the nice baffle board here that I've made. And I've got the nice material on it. And this is going to fit right on top here like this. Just bear with me for a sec. There we go. So now we got our panel here. Rock solid. Ain't going anywhere. Got the nice felt in it that I put in the other day. I might have to glue a little bit on the edges, but other than that, everything turned out beautiful. So I also ordered my new 2000 watt Renogy inverter, which is the same one as my friend. So I got a good deal. I got this for $329. So that was a great deal. So I picked one of these up. And if you bear with me here for 1 second, I'll show you how it fits. I hate doing this, but sorry. There we go. So I got it in here. Fits perfectly. Now, the great thing about this box is this will close right up now. So completely concealed unit. I'm probably, well, the receptacles are on the side here. So I might make an extension and put it, say, like on a power bar along here. Put it on a power bar. And then I got my solar charge controller. I'm going to try this one out. This one's new. I've never really heard of this one. It's called the NNext Slim. So that's probably going to go in here like that. And then my my fuse is probably going to go in somewhere in this region here, because tomorrow I got coming in is the main power cutoff switch. And then I also got the fan. So I'm going to use the fan in this one because I'm going to probably run this unit with the lid closed. So it's going to need some air circulation inside. So we got the fan there, and that's going to be blowing towards the inverter. And then it's got the ribs here. So it should circulate the air quite well inside. So this is kind of like the layout, how it's going to look. Man, that looks sweet. Oh, God. This unit is so awesome. And this thing's working phenomenal. No problems at all. Rock solid. So it's just a couple things on the app I have to sort out. Some of the telemetries. It's not showing anything on the charge, but it's probably because the batteries are fully charged. The solar charge controller is not going to draw any more power into the system. So that's why I'm trying to wear these batteries down a bit. So when I do wear the batteries down, then the solar is going to kick in and start charging it up. So I have to use the system. So I got that fan blasting. I don't know. I think that's like 40 watts. I think it's like a 40-watt fan. So it can run pretty much all fucking day long. So, yeah. So I got my shop here. Got my new saw. This thing's awesome. Freaking love it. Best $200 I ever spent. And yeah, so I'll be working on this. I got the switch coming in tomorrow, and then I'll be starting to feed the wire in, how I'm going to hook it up. So I think this is going to have to maybe go here, and the switch is going to go in the corner. Ground cable will come up, connect to here, which is going to be a very short connection, which is good. Shorter the better, actually. And also the power cable is going to come in from the bottom, go through the switch, through the fuse, and then from the fuse to here. So it's going to be a very short connection to the thing, which is actually really good. Shorter the better. That protects you from any kind of thermal runaway. So yeah, the shorter the wires, the better. When it comes to a system like this, in all cases, that's not a reality. Cables might have to be a lot longer, but the shorter the cables are, the less resistance you have in your circuit. And that means a lot less chance of it overheating. So that's cool. So I think the wiring is going to work out just fine in this. The wiring for this guy, for the solar charge controller, I haven't decided if I'm going to put it on the front or I'm going to install it on the back. Most likely, I think I'm going to install the cables for this on the back. So if that's the case, then so be it. I got tons of room back here. As you saw earlier, I've totally encased the batteries. So the batteries are totally encased. So when you lift it up, they're not going to move. They're solidly secured. So that's a must. So yeah, this thing's, you could take this on the road with you. If you're going camping or whatever, you got a solid, rock solid friggin' system that will run all your stuff you need for the entire weekend. So yeah, I'm really excited about this project. This one here is mainly for the locker. So I have power in the locker. Eventually this one's going to go to my buddy after I've done all the testing on it. Yeah, I'm trying to stay hydrated, have some pop, keep myself going. I probably
Do you mind if I say anything? Is there audio?
Yeah, go
You're
ahead.
muted, Mike. Are you muted, Mike?
Yeah, sorry.
You had mentioned before, and you can cut me off and I won't say anything further, but you're sending the power through a diode, right? And you're charging a capacitor on the first stage.
Now we're talking about my power unit, or are you talking about the batteries?
I'm talking about, say you have 100-watt solar power, but by driving it with a relay, you can get maybe 300-watt.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to make the dump circuit. So I'm going to take the solar panel, and I got the schematic for the dump circuit. So it's going to be directed with a diode.
I wanted to comment on that because I had heard you say that in a past live stream. I made this video. It was the boost bell. And what you do is you do exactly what you're saying, but add a low resistance inductor. And what happens is as it goes through the diode and the inductor, the magnetic field increases and then collapses.
Like a choke. Well, basically you're saying a choke, right? A small
It doubles the voltage on the capacitor on the first stage.
Okay, so would the choke before the capacitor or after the capacitor?
Yeah, say the battery, right? You go through a diode, through an inductor of low resistance to a capacitor and back to the battery. Okay. What happens is normally if you short circuit that, it's an RLC of low Q and it will want to go back and forth. But because you have a diode there, it's prevented from going that back. Right. And what that does is it charges the capacitor to twice the voltage of it would have if it were just charged by the battery.
Right.
All you got to do is add a low resistance inductor and it through the diode because you had that correct. And this is just my honest opinion. You know what I mean? You could try it both ways. Mm-hmm. But when you do that, if you double the potential on the capacitor, the energy storage squares because the energy stored in a capacitor is the square of the voltage times the capacitance.
Right.
So just by doubling the voltage on that capacitor, it stores more energy off the bat.
Right. And then when you dead short it back to the battery, say you're charging, you could get 50 to 100 amps discharge in that.
That's where you're taking one solar panel and making it two. And there's other things you can do to make it 3 or 4. You know, you get me though. Just try that. A low resistance inductor. I called it the mousetrap because what you're doing is you're pulling it back. Just like literally the mathematical equations of an inductor is like a mousetrap. And you're literally like, as the magnetic field's building, you're pulling this back as the torsion spring. And the release of that is the power.
It's like the snap. I mean? Yeah.
And unless you snap the trap as quick as you did for the release, the power out's going to be greater. But who's stupid enough to be like, you know what? I'm going to set this trap as fast as possible. It's just a stupid analogy. You're not going to ever get more power out unless you try to set the trap at the same speed it snaps.
Right.
It's a timer.
Yeah, it's got to be timed correctly.
And when you double the voltage on the capacitor, you get 4 times the energy because it's square the voltage.
Right. Yeah, so I'll be using a 100 volt, 4,000 microfarad capacitor, and then I'll dump the energy that I'm getting from the solar panel into that. And
you said you're dumping it with a relay, right?
Yeah, a single throw relay, and
that's an awesome choice. I love relays. I was telling Nathan earlier, even though if you hit the bell like slowly, but if you're like really hitting it, like with a solid connection and solid open.
Yeah.
Like a relay. A relay is perfect for just slowly hitting it and letting it vibrate.
Like this will be really effective if you're using a lead acid battery, lithium, any kind of lithium battery or whatever. You got to be careful about that because it can affect the BMS
Yeah, because you can have back. That's why I recommend a diode in the beginning, like you said too.
Yeah, there's going to be
just to prevent that.
Probably three diodes in this one.
But you could literally take a battery and an inductor and a capacitor and throw a switch, and it would sit there and go brrr until it dies down, maybe about 80 times, depending on the Q of the circuit. Right. So just by closing a circuit that has a capacitor and an inductor, the battery is going to be hidden with different voltages back and forth. It's going to be part of that circuit.
Yeah.
Just by closing it rapidly into an RLC circuit, you're going to get that vibration maybe about 80 times.
Okay. Interesting.
Just by doing that. You know what I mean? So but battery. Okay. Oh, sorry.
No, that's fine. Yeah, I'm totally on that. I'm gonna work on that probably in the next week or so.
Hey, Mike, nice clean build, man. It looks great.
Yeah, it's turning out really
I love how it all fits together like that. Your felt lid there looks beautiful. Everything's fitting nice, man. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah,
it is a nice build.
Yeah, I want it to be durable, so if something happens, the power.
You know what'd be really cool to do with that, dude?
It definitely looks super durable, man. Like I wouldn't even hesitate to throw that in the back of a truck, rip it right out, plug some stuff in. Awesome, man. That's like putting it all to good practical use. I love that.
Mm-hmm. I think to demo it, dude, you should bring it outside, like wheel it, and then absorb water from the air and make water out of the air with.
Yeah, I have the circuit to make that too. Yeah,
that would be cool.
Yeah, Laser. What's his name? The guy from Plasma Channel actually did a pretty good build on that.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, but I had this before him. I mentioned it on Old Man Bills. I mentioned it on Old Man Bills.
But, bringing water to the desert.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because everybody's seen the experiment. Well, hopefully you've seen the experiment with water coming out of the faucet, and you comb your hair with the comb, and you hold the comb next to the water, and it bends towards it.
Yeah, it's magnetic.
Water, especially like dew. Most people want to use the daytime to make water, but if you were to make water at night, you have let the sun evaporate the water during the day and condense during the night.
Right.
It's already more efficient. It's already more efficient doing it that way.
Way more efficient. Yeah. Exactly.
Well, they make a commercial unit already for that. You can put on your house. It makes up to 1 gallon of water a day.
A while ago,
that's awesome.
And I actually made there's these little invention things where you can put a stupid invention, and they're gonna be like, "Hey, either we're gonna back you or not," and it's like a scam kind of thing. I did this back in the day to acquire water from the atmosphere, and just saying, "Hey, why don't we just let the sun evaporate the water during the day, and then when it's nighttime, we put a little negative charge on a big panel, because the water." The dew in the air, as it naturally gets colder, is going to produce dew. That dew is going to be attracted to a negative panel.
Yeah, since it starts condensing.
When it does, it hits a hydrophobic surface as a coating, and it rolls off, and you collect the water out of the air.
Yeah,
at night.
I
called it dew water.
That's part of the reason I'm working on a system like this right now, because I really see. Power
dew water, be an issue. Do a dew water. You could easily put a negative charge on that too, and it's cool because nobody's seen it at night. Just be like, hey, just wait.
Well,
I sleep.
Well, I got my Vortex water machine in the locker as well, so I'll be doing my structured water again. So
nice.
It's all based on
that's real cool.
Schauberger's. Yeah. I've learned it from an old friend of mine. He's been doing it for years and years, so I've learned a lot off him. And he's got validation now. It's a couple of universities on the water. So he's trying to sell it now.
Say something about that.
Well, I'll put it to you this way: I've done some interesting stuff with that water. Like the saturation rate of the water is a lot greater. So it takes like half the water that you need to water, say, a crop. There's a guy in Australia who's actually doing this on a very large scale. His water consumption's like half of what it used to be, just by using structured water. And he's getting better results. The fruits and vegetables are big, more lush, healthier. you know. So there's a
And
lot of
combine that
benefits.
with Gerald's electric culture.
You beat me to that punch. That's what I was going to say. I was if you go 1-2 punch on it, you have plasma,
Imagine this.
printed seeds, and then you run it through the electric culture, and then you have the structured water.
Right.
Imagine this just for electric culture idea that I want to toss out there, like because the inventions related on like shaking a sand that's high of silicon dioxide to get a charge on all those granules. You know what I'm saying? So you shake a sand to get the charge on these little bitty granules, and then you dump it into a flower bed that you want to test, and then add the water because it's pre-charged. You know what I mean? So let's study what little shaking sand does whenever you add it to a bed. And
I've even dabbled with Wilhelm Reich's Oregon accumulator. I've made an accumulator box.
That's
so
cool.
I've worked with that.
It's
actually, if I get the time this summer,
they call it metal organic frameworks now. It just pisses me off. That's you know what I mean? They call them MOFs, MOFs. That's exactly like Wilhelm Reich was like, dude, I didn't call it a MOF, but you can call it a MOF, metal organic framework. We've literally twisted his technology into that.
Yeah, and
nobody gets that. Like we just stole it from Wilhelm Reich and put a technical label on it.
You know
how? Hey guys, good night. By the way, wanted to stop in and say hello.
All right,
good night, Joe.
Catch you next week.
Yeah.
Good night, Joe.
Night, Joe.
Yeah, definitely. Wilhelm Reich. He was a huge target for the FCC, or not FCC. Sorry, the FDA. They went after him like crazy. Hey, Bernie.
Hello. My apologies first off to Jarvis for last week. I was a little over.
No apologies needed, my brother.
Paranoid, but
you're my man, dude.
Love you all. Love this team.
We're just
Good to see you.
Nathan
no,
had
I,
an interesting
I feel
night.
for you, dude. I feel for you, but you did the right thing, man. Just coming clean and just being honest and giving it out to the public. I mean, I think you made the best move there. Trust me, you're my bro, dude. Like, you never have to apologize. You did not do anything wrong.
What happened? Some scientific disagreement or what?
I was just a little overly cautious and
it's okay.
paranoid.
At least it was backstage. Mine was public.
Oh, Bernie, you don't have just say yes or no. Did you get a hold of the guy that you were looking for?
Yes, but then now haven't for a couple of days. So I don't know. Should be okay. Should be okay.
All right. So you're okay. You're stable, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, that's good. We don't have to pull out the rubber room, right?
No, definitely not. No. Caught up on sleep, so good. Less
nice.
Less paranoid for sure.
May I say something, Bernie?
Of course.
Be careful whenever you're using the salt water on the spontaneous reaction that you're using with the coil of metal. Whenever you use sodium chloride, it can outgas hydrogen chloride. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And I've got a whole bunch of litmus paper tests, so I always check to see what the reaction is and
awesome sauce. Good.
When acidic, because it goes both extremes. Both.
I just wouldn't want you to fill your room full of hydrogen.
Right.
You could use sodium chloride as a base, as like me and Faraday were saying. Maybe alkalines are cool to explore too, because the outgas would be CO2 instead of hydrogen chloride.
Yeah, I don't know if there's been, I think maybe just gold with silver does the hydrogen chloride. The rest, the reactions go extremely alkaline.
Use nickel, Edison battery.
Are you showering?
Faraday would know that. Nickel's a good.
Yeah, nickel's good. Yeah, it's you have to experiment with the stuff. Like I always say, experiment. If you're second guessing yourself on it, experiment with it. Try it out. Don't rule anything out. Nothing. Even if somebody out there says, "Oh no, it's not going to work," try it out. Do it for yourself. You have to see for yourself, right?
Oh, yeah, even if Jack Sarfati says no.
Yeah, especially if he says no,
Oh man.
because he's always gonna call you schmuck at the same time.
A schmuck-a-duck.
Oh,
I
the
just
schmuck comes after you experimentally prove him wrong, of course, right?
Yeah, I think it comes every time he opens his mouth. Is what I think happens.
True.
Dude,
Very
but dude, me and Phil would debate him. Like me and Phil, like, okay, what you got, man? What physics are you talking about?
I already killed him too. I already put the nail in the coffin this week. So he just stopped replying for good now.
You gotta send him that picture of you flipping the bird.
Oh, there you go.
I'm just gonna scoot out for a quick smoke. I'll be right back.
Roger, Dodger.
Oh, Jack's the funniest.
So Bernie,
yes, sir.
Well, I don't want to say I'll talk to you backstage, but I would like to talk to you backstage too.
Absolutely, we shall. And
Dude, what happened to your room, Bernie? It looks all smoked out now. Is that
that's
your camera?
in direct sunlight going into the camera.
okay.
There we go.
Oh,
I'm like,
dude, wow.
Dude, going to the happy place early. I'm thinking,
It looked like you had some.
I'm getting taken away. The aliens are
You
coming.
got
They're
fog
attacking
going
me.
on, man.
Ah!
He's using the CO2. He's using the sodium carbonate, get some CO2. No, but like you gotta know, like hydrogen chloride, you don't want to fill your room with that. And I'm just trying to be honest.
Oh,
and
100%.
safety tips, because
You're
literally,
bang
like,
on with that.
dude, these alchemists would die back in the day fucking with mercury, and they didn't know what mercury could do to you. You know what I mean? It's a science that you have to have somebody teach you with, that you can't go willy-nilly, because you could literally die if you do the wrong thing. You know what I mean?
Big time.
Seriously.
And I kind of forgot to put little disclaimers on some of what I released there, especially with the process of working with lead and tungsten, and how just poisonous lead becomes in the monoatomic state when you break it down in electrolysis. It's extremely sketchy, poisonous, and yeah, you will harm yourself quite quickly.
And it's like in alchemy, you just learn lead into gold, and lead is dangerous, like Bernie's saying. Like, so if you're just trying to mess with lead just to get going and you don't know what you're doing, dude, you could die from that lead. It's plum.
Very quickly.
You know, it used to be that, and that's why you ingest it, you inhale it, or anything like that, you're done. You can do that with mercury too, you know, and that's why it's scary, because mercury is important in alchemy. But if you don't know how to use the mercury, you're dead.
wow.
Yeah, but don't use mercury, use gallium.
Yeah, but it's not going to be the same alchemy. I mean, when it comes to alchemy, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Gallium is like 70s, 1970s. But gallium's cool as a liquid metal. You could like spin it in one of those things I showed in the past on Nathan's channel. Instead of spinning an electrolyte through a magnetic field, you could spin gallium or any liquid metal through a magnetic field, and you can get what I call a fluid turbine. It's a Tesla fluid dynamo. Sorry, I always call it turbine, but the dynamo would be two magnetic fields. I showed it on Nathan's channel whenever I first. But if you use liquid gallium and spun it above this magnetic field, it would act like a Faraday disc going above a magnetic field, and you get a really high current. You know, and what me and Sean are trying to work on is how to increase the voltage of that current, because you could do it with electrics very easily. And then you have a hybrid system that's high current, high voltage, and you know.
Then you fry your eggs on it.
I wish I had actually YouTube, I would put like the fireball by your eggs.
No, but yeah, I did the same, and it creates a gravito-electromagnetic field that shifts the gravitational acceleration. So it shifts the weight of the apparatus.
Have you seen gosh, what's his name with the SR3B or the TR3B? Have you heard about that?
Yeah, the Lockheed Martin TR3B.
Aura,
Yeah,
like
Well,
yeah.
that's the TR3A, I think the Aura was. The TR3B
yeah, you're right.
is
The
the
the B, the A was Aura, and the B is, I don't know.
The
But
B supposedly uses both T. Townsend Brown's electrogravitic charge, but also apparently the 3 red like plasma balls or whatever on that are seen on it supposedly are
booty balls.
somehow acoustic generation of anti-gravity.
I think they're booty balls.
Yeah, it's just some sort of plasma, like high energy plasma that creates a gravito-electromagnetic field that shifts the weight of that creates a differential in the energy potential, which will induce a force.
Yeah, and to be able to potentially make a dominant monopole that's positive or negative is cool too, because you can't do that with magnets. That's what separates the invention. You know, because you can have a dominant positive charge or dominant negative charge using the knowledge of that, and you can't do that with magnets. But you can literally have a positive and negative pole. Dominant, not totally.
Yeah, you're talking about canceling energy, or
no? I'm saying when it comes to energy, we can define it as the electron volt on the quantum level, right? The electron volt literally is a charge voltage product.
Yeah.
So the energy is equivalent to the charge and voltage. Okay, that's potential energy.
Yeah.
You know, of the electric field. You know, the energy of a magnetic field is different.
The energy of a magnetic field is the energy density is the magnetic field squared divided by the permeability of
in engineering, it would be Li squared. So yeah, I would say, but the L is the inductance.
Yeah.
When it comes to electrical engineering, that's all I really relate things to.
You're an engineer?
Yes.
Cool. Electrical engineer?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I have a bachelor's, you know, and I've been studying this for like 20 years, you know.
Just the mechanical engineers knows a lot of stuff, so
yeah,
electrical engineers are kind of even better.
Yeah, it's fun because, you know, it's not thermodynamics, it's electrodynamics. It's completely different. Mm-hmm. And to have an electorate is going to change the world, just like the magnet. And I'm just saying, to have these combinations that are available, and if I could work with Mike Faraday on his cell, we'll make as much power as we need, guys. Like, you want to power your house, me and Mike will work together and do this.
Are you next to Toronto?
I'm in Georgia.
Georgia, yeah.
Yeah, you're about 3 hours away from me.
The swing state. The famous swing state.
I never heard that.
So what, a 3-hour flight from Toronto to Georgia?
Oh yeah. But we don't have to be in person. We can, you know.
Oh yeah, we do on Zoom call or whatever.
That's what we're best at, anyways. I mean, we've been doing it, so.
Yeah, it's we'll definitely chat offline for sure.
Can I know you guys already seen my experiment, but can I show him the experiment I did about the equipment, the MHD vortex.
Yep. Pop it up.
Just one sec.
Right.
Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Yeah. Ah, man. So look on the right. You're gonna see the weight of the apparatus shifting right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Now
You
I
did
turn
this.
it off, and it's
You did this well over a year ago, I think, right?
yeah.
You did that, Phil?
Yeah, more than a year ago.
That's cool, man. I like that.
Was this one of the ones you presented at APEC?
No, I got sidelined at APEC exactly at the moment where I created that stuff, and I figured the strong nuclear force and things like that. Tim decided to go all mainstream, so he can even if we ATM people started APEC, we kind of got sidelined in favor of mainstream people. So,
Hey, Bernie, do you mind me asking why you protested APEC that time? And I had your back, dude. I was in the chat with you like, hey, if Bernie doesn't like this, I don't like this.
Yeah, it's exactly what Phil's stating, and we discussed it a few weeks ago too, and agree also with what Nathan and Mike feel of how it's like they just take the ideas from presenters, sideline them, and then try to kind of claim them as their own, while simultaneously anyone with real breakthrough stuff they just push off to the side, it seems lately.
I think this is the best way to do it.
Not only that, they got the guy with the sweater that bores you to death with the fireplace. Oh my god, dude! I can't sit through that, dude. I turned it on and off several times last time, and I just couldn't do it. I kept falling asleep.
What? I mean, it's hard to keep your attention. I mean, who wants to sit there 4 hours of like where you're like, dude, is that really the best you got? Like, what could thrill me at least? I mean, give me something. But there's nothing at the end of 4 hours, and you're just like, dude, I just feel like I wasted 4 hours.
I'm curious about something. Why are they not recording anymore the stream, like the Zoom meeting, but the
I don't know. I offered to do so, and they said no, and yeah, I don't know.
Well, I'm there with you, man. I'll protest, Bernie. Are you still against it?
And I think it's too many egos.
Yeah, I just hope that they reopen up the platform a bit more. I guess they were attacked by a bunch of trolls or something at one episode or one session, and then they closed it off and have limited a whole bunch, and it's not the same as it used to be, and I just hope that they reopen their format more.
Or we can just keep doing this and like blow APEC away, because this is the real engineers. I haven't met any other extraordinary inventors in the league.
Yeah,
nobody else is doing what we're doing. I mean, APEC can do APEC, but like this is like a group of real engineers working together and making it happen. So,
well, it's, we're not basing all our stuff on ego, trying to make the mainstream media, right? We're just trying to do our own thing.
Yeah, that's why I like working with engineers, because there's no ego, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and you have the ultimate last word. The theoretical physicists can say whatever they want, but you're the one who's gonna find out if it works or not.
Yeah. Experimentation will always trump the physics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I
physics
have a
comes
theory
later.
I have a theory on why they split it. One is being recorded and broadcasted to the world. The other one they're just stealing ideas from, and there's no proof of it.
China?
That's the truth. Because look at the people that are on the
China's gonna
live
take
one,
my shit.
and the
China's gonna
people
take
that are not on the live one.
Lulu knows a lot because she's
Can
on
you gentlemen
many
hear
shows.
me?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Mike does.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
Ooh, Winona
Right on,
Ryder's
man.
back on,
Okay.
dude. Dude, I have to call you
What's
dude.
up?
I know your name's Winona Ryder, but I assume you're a dude. I'm just gonna call you.
Thank you, man.
Thanks, dude.
Yeah, live chat is alive and well. That's what I like about our show. You know, we have a really good active chat board, and welcome anybody that's new that comes to the channel. Welcome to our show, and this is who we are.
So good.
We're trying not to be egocentric maniacs. We're just inventors that like to shoot out ideas and share our ideas, and hopefully that can help one of our other followers advance in their stuff. That's what this is all about, right?
No, but that's exactly what I said to Jack Sarfati this week. I said, I told him that all he cares about is selling books with his and disinforming the population with his nonsense. And proof is he wouldn't bet $5 on his experiments. He wouldn't because he knows it's not gonna work. It requires exotic energy and all that nonsense. So he clearly knows it's never gonna work. What he's talking about. So he wouldn't spend $5. He can make all the calculations he wants. But
Could I offer an experiment off my physics that would work? Maybe. What if Sean makes this electric pendulum, and can a control neutralize weight to swing it, but like a positively charged electric and a negatively charged electric compared to the neutral swing? Do you think there would be a difference in the time of the swing? I think there would be, because the Earth has a more abundant negative charge, and if it's a positively charged pendulum, it would have more acceleration towards that. So I think the positive pendulum would tick faster than the neutral, and I think the negative pendulum would tick slower. And that's
you're right. The Earth has an electric field, so it's gonna
when it comes
affect.
to physics, the power is prediction. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When it comes to potentials, no matter what, the more positive potential is going to feed the lesser potential. No matter what.
Potentially.
No matter the circumstance or material or whatever, the more positively, the greater, not positive, I shouldn't say positive, the greater potential is going to be the source to the lesser potential, no matter what the circumstance.
That's why it'd be interesting for a pendulum just to see, I
By the way, hi, Mike.
Hey, what's up, man?
Nice to see you, man.
Well,
yeah. No cameras.
It is good to see you.
He's still in the holly deck.
If my picture's not good enough.
It's 3 holes.
Gives me every time.
You'll never live this one up. Especially.
Oh, we played the episode with you in it today, Mike. With the big toroid, the giant transformer you had with the 6-inch hole. Remember that? He's all proud of it, showing it off, putting it right on
Toroid?
his bed, and he's got this big hole.
I mean,
Wow.
coil.
Yeah, awesome
the-
coil, by the way.
Yeah, the big hole coil.
Yeah.
Oh, I got something to show you. I don't know if you've
It's
seen
a
this. Hold on.
12-inch diameter.
So you're going to talk a bit about the diode aspects, right, Mike, and how it's crucial in engineering.
Well, okay.
Flat.
Tesla did it first with the selenium diode, okay? And what he did is he made this selenium panel, like a big selenium panel, aimed it at the sun, and cosmic rays would evaporate the charge off. And that's the photoelectric effect. And Einstein took the Nobel Prize for that, but Tesla made it, okay? He took this big-ass selenium panel, aimed it towards the sun, and made a diode that way because it's one way direction towards the sun through the selenium panel. We would call it a solar panel, but Tesla was the first one to show the photoelectric effect when we say that Einstein got the Nobel Prize for the photoelectric effect. But Tesla discovered it. Cosmic rays.
Oh,
That's Mike's big hole.
Oh, got a mighty big hole there, Mike.
Mike, you're muted. Faraday, you're muted, sir.
This thing weighs like 20 pounds or more, 25 pounds. This thing's heavy, man.
That's a heavy hole.
Look at that heavy hole.
You could use that for a workout.
Yeah, you could work out with the damn thing. It's heavy.
Is that like true barium or no?
This one is a ferrite core, heavy as all hell.
But not barite. But that's okay. I mean, it's hard to find barite, right?
Yeah, this is a monster.
That's dope, though.
Oh, man, did your hand fit through that hole?
Probably.
Are you gonna make? Oh, you're making
Let's
him
do
fit
it.
the hole. Oh my!
Oh my gosh!
Mind you, I have a very big hand, so.
Oh, the very heavy hole.
Some people bigger than others, huh?
Yeah. Oh man.
What if you put like gallium or mercury in the center of that hole while operating it?
Actually, know what I have done. I put my Tesla plasma ball and rested it right in the middle of the toroid, and I was able to light off light bulbs with all these leads.
Were
Oh,
they
nice.
LED? Were they LED or?
Yeah, either or. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Incandescent? Could you do incandescent?
If the plasma ball was say 5 kilovolts, maybe. But
That's
the one
dope.
I have,
Yeah, that's where you really test, though. You know, if you're really extracting.
but yeah,
stuff.
like they're groups in two.
That's
So
cool.
I got 1, 2. There's
That's
four sets coming off it, and I've got them all labeled. Which one's more powerful than the other? You know, the resistance and all that. So I could hook it up to any of these leads, and if I had the plasma ball even just beside this, it picks it up.
You know, Mike, I got one of those. I pulled it out of a speaker. It's just not as big as yours. My hole is much smaller.
I got the biggest hole of them all. Oh my God, sorry.
Like
Going
a
off
holy
the rails,
rollers in here.
man.
I'm sorry, man. I got to make some jokes, dude. I've had a hard day. I burned my mouth off today on some hot wings.
Yeah. Take a screenshot of that.
Nathan was a trooper, man. Is it like you said? You got some blue eyes to tame it down.
Oh, gee, it was bad.
Have you guys seen where they do 2 wirings on those with the ferrite core now, but separately halfway? And apparently by having them 50-50, you can actually like pull some like extra
You're
energy
mirroring
out
it.
of it, something like.
So if you had 22 turns going on one side and then 11 and 11 on the other, the amount of turns are the same, so they resonate back and forth to each other like a mirror. But the beauty of splitting it on the opposite side is you can use the 11 to go run off to your regular system. Then the other 11 is a multiplier. It's in addition to it. So what you're doing is you're making a half wave.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
half-wave.
Yeah, in the whole thing, and you're able to pull the energy for free. It's
Yeah,
called
the other-
a bit.
Right, a bit transformer. Yeah. So what you want to do too, the one that is your half wave, you want to go to a bigger gauge wire, and you're gonna wind it in the opposite direction of the one that's drawing power into it. All right. So what you're gonna have is a decrease in voltage, but your amperage is going to go through the roof, and that's what Don Smith was working on. This is all what ties in what he was doing.
But on a ferrite core, though, I want to say this. I don't think it's working exactly that way. Don Smith was working with coils, which it worked perfectly to pull out the amperage. But the ferrite core, because of the way it is, I don't think it's going to give you that.
Yeah. Yeah, because I know he worked with toroid cores like this. He made one device that had two of them. Not as big as the one I had. I think they're maybe about 4-inch diameter. This one here, I think, is 8-inch diameter. So it's hefty. It weighs a friggin' ton.
Yeah, it's, you know what? Where you find that toroid, by the way, in that configuration is in the Jewel Thief circuit.
Yeah.
That's where you're going to find it, because you're all about saturating the core at that point, and then it's resonating back and forth. When you hit that resonating mark, then you can amplify things. So I found it in the Jewel Thief.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of you can. I played around with this thing quite a bit, especially with even with the Renegade device. I was actually able to split the power off and get more. 2 channels with the same amount of potential coming out of it. Right. So right there, that's over unity right there. If you're splitting it and still getting the same potential off each channel, then yeah, you're ahead of the game, right? But yeah, the plasma stuff I was doing with this, actually, I was surprised it worked as well as it did.
Well, yeah. I mean, it runs through there pretty good. You actually probably get a conversion out of it. Just putting a voltage field in there, like a potential, and it'll probably pick up amperage because of the toroid.
Yeah, because it's a closed circuit, so it's just going to hold that electromagnetic field. It's different with if you're using, like, say, a solid rod ferrite core versus a toroid. A toroid is a closed magnetic field, right?
It's closed circuit.
Hey, Faraday, do you mind if I ask you a question?
Sure.
What do you think, like a Mylar balloon, if you were to spray it with some of that carbon conductive or nickel conductive spray, and then like sprayed it with some vinegar, like as an acid, and then send it up as a balloon with like an aluminum wire attached to the earth? Do you think the evaporation of the vinegar on the balloon would increase the current from the balloon earth path?
If you're using graphene, you won't need it.
Well, do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand.
You could also do it with sodium carbonate or whatever alkaline you wanted to try.
There's
you're spraying the outside of it and then lifting it up to get the potential and seeing if the alkaline spray around the outside or the acid spray around the outside will give a current that's stronger with the potential, because it's evaporating off into the atmosphere, so it's pulling the current through the earth if you sprayed it.
Yeah, that'd be an interesting experiment.
Right? Doesn't that sound cool?
Yeah, like
I had like this idea of like a fishing rod where you'd be like, you know, there's old fishing rods where you hit the little button and like let it fly out. So you just hit the little button and let the balloon go up.
Yeah.
And you charge these bobbins, and when you fish, it's cheating. This is like if the power goes out and you need to eat. You can make these shock bobbins where the fish will bite it and they get shocked and come
shocked.
Don't do this because you will be arrested and it's cheating.
Kind of like dynamite fishing.
Yes,
I was
do
about to say
not
the
do
same thing.
M80s. Don't do that. That's not cool. You know, it's survival only.
Yeah. Get the Canadian Parks and Recreation on your ass.
But yeah, it would be a fun experiment, like with a fishing pole. But you have to have like the reel made of aluminum wire or something light.
Yeah.
Take the mylar up, and then test between.
Yeah, what I like to do is get a helium balloon, like you're saying, and spray the outside of the helium balloon with graphene spray.
That's what I was
And
saying.
then-
Like spray it and
then-
then put like an alkaline or an acid coating on it.
Yeah, bring it down to a ground potential, and you can run like an atmospheric motor.
Mind if I ask Jarvis a question? What do you know about this acid and pH values raising altitude, and what's your concept on that?
Think of alkalines as electron donors and think of acids as electron acceptors.
Okay.
There's
Okay.
acids like to absorb electrons.
Uh-huh.
Alkalines like to give up electrons and become earth metals. You know what I mean? Alkalines are more earthy metals. Okay.
Actually, Jarvis, know what you could experiment with? Ultrasound gel that they use when you get an ultrasound. It's a gel. It's highly conductive.
Mm-hmm.
Put that on the surface and see what happens.
So wait, if acids like to receive electrons, is that correct?
Yeah, acids have a potential to be like a sponge to electrons, and alkalines want to give them up readily. Especially like bentonite clay is a naturally negatively charged clay, so you can use ceramics too that are naturally negatively charged, and then you use an alkaline to knock these electrons off because they want to go. Nature is not that difficult. Nature does its thing naturally.
So correct me here, is the higher the altitude, the more protons you're
more positive compared to Earth.
Yeah.
And the lower the altitude, you're reaching electrons.
Yeah, it's approximately 120 electron volts per meter.
Wait.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Approximately.
The sun is the protons, right? Right.
Protons can be alpha particles,
Well, the sun doesn't release electrons, does it?
Yeah, the sun is an alpha part. Like Helios literally was the sun's name, and helium is named because the sun emits helium.
Well, helium is a hydrogen
in a positively charged state that's called an alpha particle, and that hits our ionosphere and strips away our ionosphere and makes it positive.
But isn't helium a hydrogen type?
This is like Tesla wrote a book on gravity, and this is like, The
question, isn't helium a hydrogen type?
Helium, if it's stripped of its 2 electrons, is an alpha particle. Yes.
Well, I mean, that's not the question. Hydrogen type is hydrogen. It's based off hydrogen. Helium is a form of hydrogen.
You asked about helium. Helium, yeah, once those 2 electrons are stripped.
Helium turns into hydrogen, or vice versa.
it turns into an alpha.
Well, me and Jeremiah were able to replicate a process of transmutation that turned hydrogen into helium. But yeah, helium is double hydrogen's atomic mass.
Right.
Yeah,
and it doesn't. And
ionized
let me get back to the protons
is
now.
an alpha particle.
And getting to protons here, hydrogen is proton based. It's primarily protons. No, I mean there's not a lot of electrons.
Hydrogen is a single proton.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Is there a lot of hydrogens in protons, or is there a lot of electrons in protons?
There's one proton.
One electron in hydrogen.
Say that again.
Hydrogen is 1 proton and 1 electron.
Oh, so it's even.
Yeah. If you got deuterium, then you got a neutron with the proton with an electron on the outside, but that's the deuterium. And then you get tritium isotopes.
Deuterium is more protons, less electrons.
Yeah, man.
No, neutrons. The protons stay the same.
Deuterium, yeah.
The atomic.
Well, neutrons are just irrelevant here because they're neutral.
Yeah.
No, neutrons are what form the isotopes of deuterium and tritium.
Tritium, yeah. See, Bernie, he's an alchemist, so he could like chemistry and alchemy is similar, and alpha particles are emitted a lot from the sun, and those are literally a helium atom that are stripped from its 2 electrons, and that hits the ionosphere, strips away the 2 electrons, and leaves the ionosphere positive.
What's stripping it away?
The
The electrons.
alpha particles that are emitted from the sun, which are helium. Helios is the sun. Helium was named after the emission of helium. Whenever hydrogen combined into helium and is released by the sun, it's literally helium, but it's particles that are positively charged called alpha particles.
And the
So can you see
ionosphere
my
is stripping
screen,
the electrons?
The
Can
alpha
you see my
particles.
screen, Joe?
There we
Mike?
go.
So the ionosphere is stripping the electrons.
No,
So that's a hydrogen right there, Mike. And that's helium. You have 2 electrons rotating around 2 protons and 2 neutrons.
what happens is that helium atom is gone from the electrons and ejected out of the sun. So it has a positive charge overall. And when it
Right.
hits our ionosphere, it takes another 2 electrons to try to even out like this looks like. So as it takes those 2 electrons from the ionosphere, it leaves the ionosphere positively charged compared to the Earth's potential.
So the ionosphere is donating the electrons.
Yeah. The ozone layer has a lot of electrons. Ozone has
What's donating the electrons to the ionosphere? The Earth.
100 lightning strikes a second.
The Earth. Okay.
100
So
lightning.
that goes back to what I was saying. The Earth is primarily electron, and the sky is primarily protons.
I don't disagree, but I'm saying why. You know what I mean?
So you said acid absorbs electrons.
Yes, it's like a sponge.
So why would you put acid up there if the up there is primarily protons? You would put alkaline up there.
As an experiment, 2 balloons with 1 acid and 1 alkaline would be interesting.
Well, I'm thinking
I think we
the
need to
alkaline
try
would
that.
be the one, receiving the electron.
Yeah, you create a potential difference between the 2.
Oh, you could get the world's largest Jacob's ladder going on with that.
Yeah.
Just
Phil.
hope you have a very large capacitor bank to capture that stuff.
Philip,
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, why not try?
It's almost
One
like
could
the
be
Earth is
better than the other.
converting
I'm not saying
protons
way,
to
it's
electrons.
an experiment.
Philip,
Yeah.
what is the heaviest element you can model in your software? The one that what is the heaviest element you could do?
Be right back.
Good question. Let me check. The
Oh wow.
no, but that's I need to check the let me check the
I know gold is up there. Gold, lead.
Yeah.
Gold and lead, I think, are right up there as far as the heaviest elements.
They're all radioactive, the heaviest,
Deuterium
but
is probably the heaviest.
Bismuth is cool too. I think bismuth is easier to turn into gold than lead.
No, I'm saying
They're all in the same line.
Oh, remember, you just said it. Remember, I was talking about that non-silicon based. It's bismuth. They're making the silicon chip with
Bismuth's
without
really
the silicon.
cool.
Yeah, bismuth and graphene.
It's diamagnetic.
the heaviest non-radioactive one is called organicin.
okay, and what's one?
Interesting.
Organicin. Sorry, I missed the
So you could do.
terminology.
So
What's
you
the
can
atomic
simulate
number?
118. So you can simulate 118.
Yeah, but I don't think anyone's ever synthesized that. They have a very short half-life on that.
It's heavy.
No,
with
it's
potential.
not. It's not a radioactive element. That's 118 right here.
The noble gas.
Oh, okay.
All these electrons and protons adding to the heaviness of an atom is all just potential. So it's just potential heavy.
Energy density.
I mean, it's not real. It's potential. It's just,
Energy density. Energy is literally the charge and the voltage of an electron, like at a quantum level. All you need is charge and voltage, and electrons exist everywhere. So unless you say that electrons don't exist, I'll say that energy is free, because I'm breathing in these electrons that are perpetually part of atoms that you can't destroy.
Electron exists, but it's not a particle. It's just a virtual particle.
Like free energy, I hate that, because all energy is free. You know what I mean? Like what we get to exist right now is like breathed in by these perpetual motion little atoms going on, and
I forgot.
Well, they don't exist.
It's like breathing in air. Without air, okay, you have consciousness. If you don't have air, you're unconscious. Get it?
But
you have to consolidate potential to get heavy.
You'll agree with me that if you create, there's a lot of ambient energy around us.
It's everywhere. It's free, dude. Everywhere.
We're swimming in it.
We're just like,
you look at most of space is just hydrogen.
We can't harness
the most balanced,
we can't harness it because there's no potential. So we need to create a void, a real void. It's going to create a potential, like a differential, and then it's going to create a force we can harness.
That's why electrics will play a part that's different from magnetics.
Right.
It's all about consolidating the balanced potential that's everywhere into a smaller area.
Yeah.
Once you start combining electrics, like the world's going to be completely different.
See, that's why I made the power cell. That's exactly what we're talking about.
And that's why I want to work with you, because I know where you're going. So. I know where you're going, and I know how me and Sean can help. You know?
Mike is stealing our ideas and making profit of it.
Right?
I don't think so.
But how do you use the bismuth, if you don't mind me asking?
Sorry, bismuth in?
How do you use that?
What, in my cell? I don't have bismuth in the cell.
Okay.
But the diode is like a consolidator.
Sorry.
Well, the diode, the bismuth, it can be used it's actually in that diode that John Hutchison was working with.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Okay. So you got bismuth, you got barium titanate, iron oxide, and there was one other element. It eludes me now. I'm trying to remember the name of it, but it was like 3 or 4 elements inside this diode, and with nothing going in it, it's not connected to anything. You're just getting a quarter of a volt. Constant potential.
I saw this guy. Did you see this back in the day, Michael? You probably saw this, where he had this like black looking rod, and he put 2 probes on it, and it lit a light bulb.
Yeah, that's his power cell technology.
I saw that.
Yeah, and he was saying it's aluminum bismuth alternating layers.
Yeah,
and you can't find those videos anymore.
Yeah, they're hard to find.
Yeah, I got a couple of them. I was watching one today. He also has barium titanate wafers in there. They were, I believe, a 1/16 of an inch thick, and they were about 1.5 inch diameter. He had like 20 of them. It cost him like something like $30,000.
Barium titanate is a really interesting electric material.
Yeah, I got tons of it. I've got barium titanate.
It's hard to get. That's awesome. You can get it.
I have about $3,000 worth of this stuff right now.
Well, I mean, Sparky Sweet thought it was cool, so I think you're on the right path, brother. I think we like I said, if we understood what we're doing together, we could really do this.
One thing's for sure is these metals, you can't combine them without separating them with a neutral like carbon or something, because they could eat each other away,
That's what I have in the cell, carbon.
I could say something, but I don't want to give away anything.
That's how they make diodes. They got the, one metal,
Carbon
then
layer.
carbon, then another metal of different metal, and then carbon, and then another metal of a different metal. And
I like
that's
the way
how
you think, Mike, but I just can't comment.
that's how they get the energy to
Offline.
go in one direction, not back the other. They have to use less conductive metals from left to right as they go along. And that's in that same way, the perpetual energy diode can be manufactured, technically, if you know how to combine the metals right, with insulating in between them. You have to, or you don't have to if you're
It takes
able to
a
combine
lot of
them in a
thinking
way
about
where
the
they don't eat each
possibilities
other
of
away.
this. Honestly, like, you're not gonna just. I feel bad, but like, I've thought similar maybe 5 years ago. Like, and imagine me thinking what you're thinking now. Where I'm at is close, and I congratulate you for thinking like that, man. But I can't comment on how I would do it. But just keep thinking about it, and you'll figure it out.
Yeah. Well, what I'm thinking is you got to find the right, let's start with two metals. If you find two metals that don't eat each other away, now you got to find a third that doesn't, corrode the second, and then a fourth that doesn't corrode the third, and so on. And if you can layer them like that without a carbon insulator in between, that would be my thinking as the way to do it, because the carbon is going
How
to.
do you think the Earth does it?
Probably it's like that, yeah.
You think something similar?
I mean, there's carbon all over the place too,
Absolutely.
So I don't think.
But just like I always say, like, if you think of something that seems more complicated than what the Earth can actually do, you may want to rethink it, because the Earth.
Well, actually, I'm thinking the Earth is not actually doing the production of the energy; it's doing the conversion, and that the celestial bodies are creating sounds that do the vibrating, and that's what creates the energy, is the sound. And the Earth is not creating anything; it's doing the conversion. It's converting the sound into energy.
Well, when I say Earth, I mean nature in general.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just did a voltage test on this cell that I just made, the new design. It's putting out 2.52 volts.
Like the whole space is where the sounds are from. The combination of bodies out there, moving around or creating the sounds, that you can't necessarily hear, but they're there. And the Earth is converting those sounds into waves.
Is the 2.7 volt, is that a solid state?
Yeah, this is a solid state. Yeah.
I love the solid state. That's cool.
Converting the waves.
They measured Saturn's rings. They had this detector. They wanted to hear the sound of Saturn's rings. Saturn's rings were stable, but when they measured it, they destabilized the rings. So when they remeasured it, it was different from the first measurement. So it told them that by trying to read, the sounds, it altered its state. It collapsed its function. So it disturbed the ring system. So, sound does affect. So imagine if you're localizing a high energy beam in a local area, yeah, it could destabilize it. It could even.
How did they know it disturbed the state if they can't listen to it? They had to do it visually somehow to see the disturbance.
Whatever that machine that they used, when they converted it, to see it visually and hear it, there was a difference between the first time that they took the measurement and then the second time. So they knew that they were the cause of that disturbance. That machine is that powerful.
Oh, so the machine had to beam out a laser or something to.
Exactly.
I see. Okay. Well, of course, that laser is going to connect to the ring of Saturn and bring it that vibration through the laser to the planet Earth, and that's going to definitely change the the resonance going on with Saturn as a single unit. Once you send a laser out to it connected to another body, then it's not a single unit now. It's two units combined. A light may not be a wire or a physical wire, but it's still a connecting medium.
Bernie disappeared on us.
Sorry, just looking for my external hard drive. Just need a minute.
So I've built 4 of the new cells on the new design, and I'm getting about 10.63 volts, and it's been running pretty steady. I took this one off the stack just to measure the power, and I'm getting a steady 2.5 volts out of the cell. My old cells were only putting out about 1.6. These are like almost double the voltage.
And you don't need to feed it no power, just
Very
puts
nice.
out the 2.5. Huh?
Just runs on its own, man.
Nuts. That's the barium titanate.
No barium titanate in this. I can't really talk about what's on the
Graphene.
inside, but it's got a graphite plate. Yeah, that's the main conductor. The charge, whatever charge is coming through that median, is going to gravitate itself into the graphite. So
You know,
it has capacitive value.
You know what I think's an interesting material, along the lines of what I think you're working on, Mike? Pyrolytic graphite. I know you probably looked that up.
Yes. Yep. I already know what that. I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's cool, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see it being useful. Are you?
Well, the pyro.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Are you using? You're not using graphene. You're using graphite.
Graphite. This is a high grade. This is what they use in nuclear reactor cooling systems.
And that's why carbon's so cool, because you could go from graphite to graphene or diamond, which is not conductive at all, but very heat conductive. Or
See, with this one, yeah, what's interesting about this cell is when you put it under a load, the cathode cools down.
Yeah, endothermics.
Yeah, it's a 10-degree difference between the cathode and the anode.
I want to talk to you backstage.
10
I want to say something, but I can't. But yes.
Yeah.
That's
I
why
understand carbon. It has a geometry of the double tetrahedron geometry. Like
it
a
depends
spiral.
on the allotrope, dude. Dude, there's like so many allotropes of carbon, and carbon's just miraculous how many things it can do.
So you're saying it depends on the form of carbon and what geometry it has?
Yeah, diamond, is completely different from graphene or pyrolytic graphite, or activated carbon. Like there's so many different ways to use carbon.
Yeah.
And it's what you want to focus on is the allotropes, because carbon can be extremely conductive like graphene or a complete insulator like diamond. And between those two, there's so many different ways you can use it. And I would recommend people to look at the carbon cell to understand that further.
But the majority of carbons, even though the geometries are different, they're still relatively spiral. No?
Well, I mean, they're hexagonal, I would say.
Which still has that angle, that 45 or 9, whatever, 27
maybe
degrees.
I haven't looked at the angle. You might be right.
It's the same angles. So when you think about that angle, and you think about how a wave has that angle, so there's waves everywhere. Carbon is, allowing the waves that are everywhere to wrap around itself.
Carbon's a miraculous thing that most people don't get. Water and carbon are carbohydrates, the basis of life on Earth. Yep. Like water and carbon are very miraculous. Like so many ways you can take water and carbon, just out of any two elements. It's just amazing.
The fact that diamond's an insulator tells me that the carbon in there, the molecules are not aligned.
No, they are. No, they're tetrahedrally aligned.
They are aligned. And how is it an insulator then?
Because it's a thermal conductor, right? So it allows phonons to pass. And the cleavage, I guess.
Electrical insulator?
Thermal.
I mean, don't they use diamond in crystal oscillators?
That's quartz, yeah.
I'm sorry, quartz. Well, it's it's similar to diamond, isn't it? Quartz.
Well, that's silicon, not carbon.
It's a carbon. Quartz is a carbon, right?
Silicon. Quartz is silicon.
Silicon. And
silicon dioxide. But it is a semiconductor like carbon. Carbon's in the same, like on the periodic row or column going down. You got carbon and silicon, and then germanium. So they're in the same semiconductive class.
So diamond's not exactly an insulator, then.
Diamond is a carbon-based insulator. It's one of the best insulators against electricity, but it's one of the best thermal conductors. It can conduct heat, but it can't
light too.
Yeah.
Light as well.
To make diamonds, it takes very, very high pressure of physical pressure as well as heat at the same time. That's why diamond has the properties it does.
But it's still carbon. It's still the same thing.
Still carbon, yeah.
It's just tricky.
No, but they have a solution to make diamonds more efficiently using gallium.
That's alchemy, man. I can't say this.
It's material science, right?
Yeah,
I think it all depends on the angle of the carbon.
How about you have a pile of sugar and then you send a balloon up and cause a lightning strike to hit that sugar, and maybe you're gonna get a little bit of diamond out of it.
Yeah, they're combining gallium, nickel, iron, and silicon. Design graphite crucible. Researchers are ushering a new era for diamond production.
Yeah, you can make diamond. It takes a lot of pressure to make it.
Yeah.
No, but like I said, they found an alternative way to do it without high pressure.
What blows my mind? Like ancient alchemist script talk about taking gemstones like diamond and softening them and being able to mold them with their hands and then re-solidifying them.
That's crazy.
Right? Imagine if you could take a big ass diamond or small diamonds and combine them into big diamonds they talked about back in the ancient alchemist days. Bernie, you should know this.
Okay, can you see my screen?
Absolutely.
You remember, like, they would soften gemstones and combine them or shape them, and then after they're softened by that process, they would reharden it, and it would just be like the original. But how we adapted it?
I would like to see that.
Yeah, Mehran Kesh actually talks about it and how you're able to create diamonds through the electrolysis process as well.
I think if you're patient enough, you could.
I saw this video on how they made the pyramids. And the theory was that they built a huge Fresnel lens to melt granite. It was portable, but still a huge one.
Yeah, Fresnel lenses are really cool, though. You can cook with them, like melting stone and stuff. But I don't know. I think
the problem with combining them, you wouldn't know if they're gonna stay clear or they're gonna, like go darker. Like the bond right from the.
You would have to like patiently get the distance. Like when it gets darker, just try to level it out and see if it makes the focus better. You know what I mean?
No, I'm saying
I'm just gonna scoot up for a quick minute.
Like remelting it or combining other pieces into one bigger piece and solidifying it.
Gotcha.
Thinking that process, well, how would you guarantee for it to stay clear?
Yeah,
I think, Lulu, the clearness is related to the alignment of all the molecules so that the light can refract without being blocked. If the molecules are not aligned, the light will be blocked. So that's what I think has got to do with the color of the material, is the molecules, whether they're aligned or not. They're not going to be aligned if there's not a sound wave or something to align them when they're in malleable form. So once you turn the material into a malleable form, it loses alignment, and if you don't realign it before it becomes solid again.
That's why they had to re-solidify it as the next stage.
Yeah.
And I believe some had aspects to do with mercury too, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, at least Bernie knows that I'm not just spitting spitballs for no reason. This is alchemical text.
Big time.
No, listen, if there's no experimentation with thought of what you could do, then how do you know if something works or it doesn't? You have to first think that you know what, like what you suggested. Yeah, I mean, how would you know if it works or it doesn't?
Absolutely. I mean, until you literally do it, you don't know. So yeah, it really comes down to that, like believing, having faith in
we
it.
still don't know why the sky is blue. We say it's because of the ocean water, but that's
nobody's
not
going to
true.
perform an experiment for no reason. Like they're like, okay, you can't shape this diamond into whatever you want, or combine diamonds into one big ass diamond, because we believe that that's not possible. You know what I mean? But just like sending up 2 different balloons, any experiment, unless you do it, but they're so cryptic about the way they say to do it, and unless you know the lingo like Bernie does, then you'll never understand what they're saying. It's just cryptic. You gotta know symbols, you gotta know a lot of stuff. But hey, I mean, who's to say that it didn't? Why would they make it up? Is what I'm wondering. So many different resources saying that you could take gemstones and craft them like that. It's just something that, like, if it is made up, why is so many people making this up?
Aren't they doing that with heat though? Temperature?
Maybe.
The current, synthetic diamonds, they're made with high temperature pressure chambers, no?
Yeah, modern ones, yeah.
Right.
But
that's how carbon is turned to diamond under the ground. Pressure and temperature.
Conventionally, yeah. But dude, there's literally this I don't know if I should say this.
Yeah, why not? That's alchemy.
Quit. Foaming. Keep foaming.
You can take carbon dioxide, freeze it, and make dry ice. You can combine it with aluminum powder and make a thermite reaction. In a controlled environment, that reaction will produce microdiamonds. A huge amount of microdiamonds in that explosion. Because when the aluminum reacts with the CO2, it starves the oxygen of the carbon, and the carbon just makes a ton of little bitty diamonds. And what alchemists are saying is you can take those little bitty diamonds and make them into a big diamond. But a reaction is possible on Earth just through they called it a cold thermite, because it's the only time you're using dry ice.
Diamonds, like you
it's a thermite
diamonds if you can make them.
I'm just saying, I can make diamonds if you want me to make diamonds.
But if you can make diamonds, you're not going to get rich, because then you made a diamond. That means people can make diamonds now, and they're everywhere, and they're not.
They're already doing it now.
I'm not trying to get rich off of it.
Different than cubic.
What's the use of diamonds?
Drill blades and the hardness.
Diamonds are not rare anymore than gold. If you can make diamonds, you would make more money than gold off the weight. I'm just saying, if you literally could make diamonds, you would be the richest person on earth. But I'm not trying to do that. You know what I mean?
Right. Let's say they make diamonds. They have a use for diamonds. That's why they make them, right? It's not to get rich. They have a use for them.
But they are already available. They're called moissanite. They're lab ground diamonds.
They'll have saw blades that are have these little bitty diamonds that are made by a process that's telling
for saws, right?
And
I know that part. But
price of a real diamond.
It's cheaper to use synthetic diamonds for that than to use.
You're literally making diamonds more easy than gold. I mean, it's worth more than gold in weight.
Okay,
but
so
I'm gonna shut up.
Ones that you can create in a lab are good for tools, but diamonds for the diamonds, they be natural diamonds. But for tools and experiments,
Well, that's
yeah,
one use, cutting blades and all that. But there's got to be
yeah,
more than one use for diamonds. I mean,
synthetic because it would be
space,
a cost effective.
space work,
Yeah, but you're gonna
groundwork, tunneling. Maybe they're using them to make these tunnels under the ground. Maybe that's why they make diamonds, because they're making tunnels all over the place, which we know that's happening.
yeah, but it's supposed to be for for use as in building material, not for the use of what tradition holds of what a diamond is valued to compare to one
Yeah,
that is
jewelry or whatever.
made by man versus made by nature. Like the ones that are made by man is good for the building things, but the
I can
ones,
see why people would want to make gold, because it's very useful for electronic devices.
yeah,
Like,
okay, but there
technological.
should be because the value would be different. Do you understand? Like okay, let me put it in this perspective. I'm a girl, right? A synthetic diamond would mean crap to me, although it's a
Right.
diamond, but so the value has a difference on to whom is viewing that. From like commercial use, they don't care. They want the synthetic one because it's cheaper instead of being mined and hard, from
Right.
wherever, like for mass production. Yeah, they would want the synthetic one. They don't care about the natural value of it,
But the
right?
facts are the facts. In the long run, if diamonds are produced like they are today, using them for jewelry is going to phase out. It's not going to be
No,
appealing
I'm not
anymore.
saying for jewelry. No, I'm just saying that natural diamonds, what gives them their value versus the synthetic diamonds? What's the value? Because one is natural, one is man-made in
Right.
a factory. There's not a
Well, if I may say one thing, what would be the difference if somebody did turn lead into gold and say, you know what, this block of gold is made from lead and this block of gold is natural? It's the same question.
There'd be a lot more iPhones.
Yeah, gold is gold. The CERN was able to do that recently. Did you hear
I'm
about
just
it?
saying, you're saying a diamond made artificially has a less value, but they could just hide the fact that it was artificial and say, look, we found this diamond in Africa.
Yeah.
No, you can't hide that. Actually, you can see the difference.
All right.
You can see it under a microscope. What's you call those guys? Jewel smiths or whatever. They can easily see which one's real and all that. It's got to do with something to do with the I don't know. They can tell though. The clarity, I think, it's not as clear. The synthetic ones are not as clear.
Okay, I will say with vapor depression, like what you're talking about, like the vapor type of diamonds, yes. But the way I talked about it with the thermite reaction on CO2 and aluminum mimics a real diamond, but they're very, very small diamonds.
All right, guys, we're almost at 11:30 here. I think I'm going to square it up. I have to get up pretty early tomorrow. But I'd like to thank everybody that popped into the show tonight. Lulu, Nathan, Philip, Mike, Bernie, and last but not least, Jarvis. Thanks a lot. We go live to air again next Friday at 9 o'clock Eastern and 6 o'clock Pacific. And I hope everybody has a great week and productive week. And we'll see everybody soon.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Much love.
Night.
Stay on, guys.